Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, A Mum's Life. If you're watching this video, be aware, it's an awareness video. So today being the 5th of March, I thought it was the perfect time to create this video. The 5th of March is International Cyclic Vomiting Awareness Day. The reason this day is important to me is because I have watched a loved one and now multiple loved ones suffer from this rare/invisible illness. And I know there are plenty more out there, and they do not get the support they so desperately deserve and need to be able to live the best functioning life they can. To begin with, I just want to say cyclic vomiting syndrome, or CVS as I'm going to call it from now on, is a really full-on, aggressive, debilitating illness. It literally stops people's lives for however long their episodes last for. Now, an episode is something that is triggered either by food, too much emotion, stress, periods, lack of sleep, multiple different things. They're triggered by these things and they last for hours or days or weeks. It really varies dependent on the patient. And during these episodes, CVS suffers from severe vomiting, severe nausea, dry reaching/gagging, the worst stomach migraines you will ever know of, and standard severe migraines, so the ones in the head. Pretty much, if you think you've suffered from any of these symptoms, times it by 1,000, and you might be starting to get close to what a CVS sufferer goes through. But not only that, people suffer from these episodes for potentially weeks. My mother, for instance, who is a sufferer, and my brother has just started showing signs of also being a sufferer along with my sister, both younger, mind you. They last for about 2 weeks. So to the 2-week mark, they're pretty much functioning about 90% normal. It probably takes a couple of extra days, so close to the 20-day mark, to be 100% functioning. Totally debilitating. It stops their lives. It makes them lose jobs, wrecks relationships, strains friendships. They're ignored at hospitals and care places because people don't know about the illness and therefore brush it off. They get labeled as drug seekers, or that they're told it's all in their head, or that it's gastro or a stomach bug, when it just clearly isn't. So these episodes can last for a really long time. They've got to be exhausting. I can't imagine what that's like to go through. I've seen it firsthand, and it is very full on. It will shape you in a way that you would have never thought. If you're a carer or a supporter out there of a patient with CVS, best of luck to you. They love you. They don't mean half the shit they say when they're sick. They're really sick and they're emotional. Stand by them. They will love you for it. They do appreciate you. And it takes a really strong, brave, courageous person to stand there and support someone who can get this violently ill quite often in their life. And if you are a CVS sufferer out there who is watching this video, please know that I support you 100%. I don't pity you because you don't need my pity. You are brave and courageous and you're a hero, and you're so strong to be able to get through such a horrendous illness. I will leave some links down below, guys, of some websites that can explain more to you about what this illness is in a lot more depth or scientific terms. But I definitely thought that this was the most appropriate day to make this video, which I definitely wanted to make because, I am so proud of how my mum has fought through every episode she gets. She tries not to let it knock her back, even though she struggles, even though it's hard, even though it felt like we were being dragged halfway to her hell with her as children. And she definitely tried her best, and that's all I can ask for. There's not enough support out there from the government or other health industries for people who suffer with CVS, and that definitely needs to be improved. I would love to see that people who suffer with CVS, if they choose to or wish to, be able to claim a disability pension. Why, may you ask? Well, because have watching firsthand how sick these people get, and that it can be on extended periods of time, and that it can happen multiple times a year, don't you think they're going to lose jobs there and income? Don't you think they then become unemployable? Do I think they should be able to be employed and there should be more flexibility and more talks about it? Yes, I do. I 100% do. But at the same time, it does get to a point where they just can't mentally and emotionally grasp it. And I think if they need time to re-heal mentally, to put up with what their body puts them through physically, they should be entitled to that, and they should be entitled to that pension or that help with carers or fees or insurances, things like that. These people need our support. They can't stop what's happening to them. They can't help it. It's totally out of their control. It's something the scientists don't even understand yet. And instead, they're going to hospital seeking help, being told they're drug seeking, or it's all in their head, or that it's just gastro, being brushed off. People are really suffering, and I really hope that, I can try and get that across to you guys. I watched my mum at a young age break down every time she felt like she ruined something for us because of her illness that we know she had no control over. I watched her fear that we were wasting our childhoods having to grow up and care for her. Having to call your mum an ambulance is a total life-changing experience and totally daunting. There were times where I thought she may not make it through this illness one time. Like, at some point, this illness may be what takes her from me. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who has been there and witnessed CVS that has had those thoughts. And to people who are suffering, like I said, your heroes, keep going. Hopefully eventually we'll get an answer for you or a better way to help you. Like, I want to help you guys. So look, if you have a story about it, leave it below. There'll be some links, check them out. I'd say on the 5th, and if you're in Australia, might as well do it on the 6th because it's around the world and there's no reason why we shouldn't. I'd be putting a post up just saying that you support people with CVS. Happy International Cyclic Vomiting Awareness Day. Let's make the invisible illnesses visible. Let's make people realize that these illnesses are real and that people out there do suffer from them, and that's okay. We can help them. It's not all in their head. They're not drug seekers. These are people who are suffering and being sent back home to suffer in silence and be ignored and forgotten, and that's just not fair because they probably fight as much as anyone who has a severe disease or illness. I'm not going to compare it to anything because that's not fair on any illness. They're all horrible. People all get hurt. People all suffer. But there's no reason that this shouldn't be one that is talked about as well so people can understand that it's there. If you're a health professional watching this, please take note. We're sick of taking CVS sufferers to hospitals, and it's no fault of your own, kind of, to not know about this illness. Granted, it's rare and quite not known, but there are very little amount of doctors who know about this illness or have bothered to become educated about this illness. There are a ton of sufferers out there, from children to adults. I want you to educate yourself about it so you can help someone who is suffering with dealing with life and dealing with what their body puts them through on a regular basis. While you might be having a shit day because, you've worked an 8-hour shift and you're tired, or you're hungover from yesterday, or you've stressed out about something else, or you've been dealing with dickheads all day, your job is to help your patient. If they come in and tell you, I have cyclic vomiting syndrome, do some research and assist them. IVs, anti-nausea, pain medication, help them through some of the most intense suffering a human will go through. I will guarantee you it is that intense. I've listened to a video clip of a man with a stomach migraine who is a CVS sufferer, and it broke my heart. I've watched my mum cry and beg for her life to be over and beg for the CVS to stop and be an absolute mess at all different stages of my young childhood. And while I don't blame her for anything, I don't hold her accountable, and I don't blame her for saying those things, it makes it hard for everyone who's around these people. And the best way to help these people is to care for them as one large support blanket. It needs to be more than one person because it's a lot to take on to help someone with CVS. But the more the doctors and patients know about it, the more the nurses and the specialists and just the random people on the street know, the more help we can offer in making at least their episodes comfortable until we can finally get some answers. So look guys, if you've watched, thank you so much. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have any comments, leave a comment. Guys, if you have a story, leave it below. Any CVS story I'm sure will really help someone else at some point, whether it be about something you've overcome mentally or finding the best way to handle your episodes or how they first started. You know, your story may be someone else's saving grace, so speak up about it. Let's make this invisible, forgotten, rare illness visible. Let's let people know it's here. Let's make them care. Let's get some answers.